Hey guys, this is Ray with US385. It's been a while, but I'm back on the road and I wanted to talk a little bit today about mental acuity and attention spans. So one of the things I've noticed along the journey is that a large segment of our population is having their attention pulled so frequently and in so many ways that it's hard for us to get things done consistently and regularly. And I've noticed that people have begun slipping in terms of personal goals to the point where people don't even really have time to take vacations anymore, which is kind of unusual, especially for me, because I always had something in mind in terms of where I was going next. Now, that was inspired back in '93 when my dad's company took us on a company trip to Big Bend National Park. From that very first drive into the park, where there was a Mexican black bear crossing the road at the Lost Mine trailhead, I was hooked because I used to watch Wild America as a kid, and that was one of my favorite shows to watch wildlife and nature and all that. And I've noticed that we've kind of gotten away, we've disconnected from nature and the things that we used to believe in, and we've gotten to the point where it's permittable for our whole family to, with every single drink that we're served at these restaurants that we go to receive things like plastic straws in every drink, for an example. And we don't really think twice about the rituals that we perform every day. I'll call it rituals because it's not quite a habit. It's something that was taught to us and that we pick up from each other and we practice together. And in times of yesteryear, we might have called them rituals because we learned something from someone else and we do that over and over and over, just because that's what we learned. It sounds a little bit like the sorcery that we practiced yesteryear, which had to do with a lot of habits that were learned from people. For an example, separating race, religion, sex, everything. And these topics, I want to call them polarizing. These polarizing topics, it's unusual because they really should be galvanizing topics. They should be forging us together in camaraderie. Instead, we feel like everyone is against everyone. And so there's always just nonstop arguments about, what did we see today that was disgusting that we can share with each other, because it's so much fun to have other people have that equally disgusting taste in their mind. I really think that we've gotten to a point where we just kind of overlooked the mental well-being of one another and opted instead for sharing these rituals that again are just tied in some kind of alternate reality. They're not even tied to our real reality, because if they were, and we really didn't want big oil and big pharma and all those places to succeed, we probably collectively would make choices that were a little bit different every single day. Our daily bread that we requested would be a little bit different. It wouldn't always be 3 meat-based meals per day, laden with all kinds of additional calorie-ridden things that also simultaneously deplete our capability to absorb certain nutrients to begin with. So body, mind, and spirit, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in terms of being tied into nature and the rituals that we practice all the time. In terms of our body, I've come to recognize that physical exercise is definitely something that helps to kickstart something in one's body. I didn't even really have to try that hard. I had to basically do, and I could have stuck to 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, and 10 curls with minimum weight and achieved the results that I achieved. I ended up doubling and then tripling my goal, and I ended up gaining 10 pounds of muscle mass in just basically 30 days. And that was 30 days of, again, basic workout. So mind. I believe that my mind has operated considerably sharper ever since switching to a mostly plant-based meal plan. And I'll call it that, not a diet. A lot of people are on diets and struggling and talking about how difficult and how not fun it is to lose weight and how hard it is and how struggle. So there are 2 ways to do almost everything, maybe 3. There are multiple ways to skin a cat. I've heard skinning a cat is not something that I would recommend. It seems pretty difficult. Taxidermy, I guess it would come in handy for that. But in reality, all life matters. And so let's go back to the mind. When we're eating plant-based meals, we're also respecting life by not just taking life out of the equation. We're not just eating things just to eat it for the purpose of eating it. Sometimes we eat something and it doesn't even feel that good afterwards. You know, our stomachs don't feel settled. We don't sleep well. We have apnea. We snore. All kinds of different things are happening. Acid reflux. It just goes on and on. I don't know how to break it down any more than body, mind, and spirit require a certain collective approach of thinking about life in general and how we treat one another and what we're sharing even with ourselves. Everything that we take in, everything that we see, everything that we hear, everything that we learn is part of how we feel. So if we're just learning that so-and-so is disgusting or repulsive and that's all we're sharing over and over and over, well, we kind of resonate that mentality, and that bristling mentality sticks with us throughout the day, throughout the week. I don't know how long these side effects last. It took me a long time to get to the point where I was more peaceful and able to handle these things like an adult rather than like a child yelling back with some kind of errant comment that had nothing to do with the fact of the matter anyway. A lot of times you'll see someone post something and then there's someone post something back that's totally negative against it, and it doesn't even really hit the nail anywhere on the head. It doesn't even hit the nail. It's like someone just took the hammer and like threw it backwards and it hit someone else in the head and it made them feel bad. That's basically what we're doing. So instead of throwing hammers at people, share some love, share a smile. It's much different when people smile at you, right? I mean, think about it. How does it make you feel when someone smiles at you versus when someone just starts out and goes, "Oh, I can't believe this is terrible," and blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff sets us all up for failure. And again, it's something that resonates throughout us. So the more I see of this negative content, the more I resonate it back to people around me. So I try my best to surround myself with nothing but positive comments, positive influences, and people who really respect the aspect of all life matters. In order to meet these people, sometimes you have to renew your circles of friends and figure out who exactly respects life the same way. Who is it that wants everyone to succeed rather than just to continue to spread, ill news and ill feelings. And these kind of things are the simple questions that unlock our potential as we begin to take action with this knowledge. So if you know there's something out there that makes you happy, move in that direction. If you are in a corporate job and you're trying to find out why you're unhappy and you can't quite break that cycle, think about what it is that you like to do and move into that direction. If you like to go to Big Bend, for an example, which again, I loved nature back in the day and I still do. I think a lot of us do. We just have been taught to be afraid of a lot of different aspects of nature. For an example, a lot of the news that you see is about outbreaks of diseases from plants here and there. So people are like, "Oh, I don't want salmonella. I don't want to do this, that, and the other. I don't want to get this." But we don't think twice about all of the heart disease and limb loss and memory loss and muscle fatigue and obesity and diabetes related issues that we're absolutely starting to see in younger and younger generations now. These things are absolutely important topics. They shouldn't be polarizing. They should be galvanizing us together to take steps in the appropriate direction. In today's world, if I were able to give some input to the leaders, community leaders, religious leaders, political leaders, I probably shouldn't even precede that with any of the fluff that I just did, because really leaders are leaders. And if there are people who are leading us into directions that we don't want to go, they're not really our leaders. So you don't need to necessarily follow what it is that people are saying if you A, don't believe it, and B, it's not benefiting you. Do you serve it or does it serve you? So that's a question I'd like to leave you with today. again, this is Ray with US385. Have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the scenery along the way. Bye.